At this moment, the pilots are adjusting the displays for pre-flight. The camera is positioned in the cockpit of an Argentine budget airline, Flybondi, on a Boeing 737. Two female pilots are about to fly this aircraft from Buenos Aires to Corrientes. Covering a distance of about 800 kilometers, let's observe the entire process from startup to takeoff from a first-person perspective. From the exterior view, we can see passengers boarding the aircraft through the rear cabin door in an orderly manner. The co-pilot is now performing a checklist verification of the aircraft's systems and equipment. This process requires coordination between two people. One reads out the checklist items while the other carries them out. This aircraft is a Boeing 737-800, and you can see that its controls are quite complex. In fact, the 737-800 cockpit contains nearly 500 buttons. If you were to learn the function of one button every day, it would take you a year and a half to understand them all. However, the preparation for the 737 cockpit isn't too complicated. The crew checks the avionics, instrument panel, oxygen system, and emergency equipment. Once everything is verified, the co-pilot inputs the flight plan, including route waypoints and altitude information. Currently, they're entering the flight plan. The device under the co-pilot's hand is called the Multifunction Control Display Unit. Through this, the pilot interacts with the flight management system, entering information like route, speed, and altitude, and monitors the flight status. Ground preparations are complete, and two ground staff members stand nearby on the left side of the plane. The cockpit checklist is nearing completion as well, and the co-pilot tucks the checklist into a slot above the instrument panel while the captain releases the brakes. The plane is being pushed onto the taxiway. So now the co-pilot starts engine number 2. And on the instrument panel, you can see numbers like 2.3 and 133, which represent the N1 fan speed and exhaust gas temperature, respectively. These readings indicate that the engine is still at low speed and low temperature, not yet fully operational. The aircraft has now been pushed to the taxiway and engine number 1 has been started. Its current readings show 20.4 and 470, meaning the engine startup is complete, and it is now idling or close to idle. The co-pilot begins pre-taxi preparations, including shutting down the APU, starting the engine bleed air, confirming that hydraulic pumps are on, adjusting the air conditioning for cabin comfort, turning on the taxi lights, setting the flaps to 5 degrees, and positioning the auto brake to RTO for maximum braking in case of a rejected takeoff. With everything set, the captain advances the throttle, and the aircraft begins to taxi. Taxiing speed must be kept very low, usually around 20 to 30 kilometers per hour. The Boeing 737 offers excellent visibility, one of the reasons it has become one of the best-selling passenger aircraft in history. While the latest model, the 737 MAX, experienced 2 crashes in 2018 and 2019, this does not erase the historical significance of the 737 series in commercial aviation. Now, the captain has brought the aircraft to the runway entrance. This is runway 13. With a smooth turn, the nose is aligned perfectly with the center line. Upon receiving the takeoff clearance, the captain pushes the throttle to maximum. The sound of the engines grows louder, and the aircraft begins to vibrate. By watching the center line on the runway, you can feel the speed increase. At VR, the co-pilot pulls back on the control yoke, the nose rises, and the aircraft lifts off. The captain retracts the landing gear, though this design has a bit of a flaw, as the lever is positioned far from the captain's seat. Smaller pilots can barely reach it, increasing the risk of inadvertently hitting other controls. Currently, the aircraft's heading is 132, speed is 172 knots, and altitude is 1,240 feet. The co-pilot is manually turning the plane left. Outside the window, you can see the 737 passing through thick clouds, obscuring visibility. After a few seconds of climbing, the plane finally breaks through the clouds, revealing a beautiful blue sky. It's a sight that can lift anyone's spirits.